Chapter 1. The moment you stop chasing. There comes a moment in life, quiet, almost invisible, when something inside you grows tired. Not angry, not bitter, just tired. Tired of reaching out first. Tired of explaining yourself. Tired of waiting for replies that never come the same energy you gave. Tired of shrinking your dignity just to keep someone close. This is the moment most people ignore. They distract themselves. They tell themselves stories. They chase harder. But the Stoics would say, this moment is not weakness. It is awareness. Chasing feels active. It feels like effort. It feels like love, ambition, loyalty. But beneath it, there's often something else. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being alone. Fear that if you stop running, nothing will come back to you. So, you run. You send the extra message. You give the extra explanation. You offer the extra chance. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you teach the world a dangerous lesson. That your presence is negotiable. That your time is cheap. That your self-respect has conditions. The Stoics understood something modern life keeps hidden. What you chase, you place above yourself. And the moment you place someone or something above your own inner order, you lose balance. Epictetus warned that slavery begins not with chains, but with dependency. When your peace depends on another's response. Chasing does not create closeness. It creates imbalance. The one who chases is always behind, always reacting, always waiting. And waiting erodes dignity. This is not about pride. It is about alignment. When you stop chasing, something uncomfortable happens first. Silence. No notifications. No reassurance. No immediate reward. Your mind panics. It asks, what if they leave? What if I lose this? What if I'm forgotten? But the Stoics would ask a different question. If someone leaves when you stop chasing, what exactly were you holding on to? Was it connection, or was it control through effort? Here is the truth most people never sit with long enough to hear. What is meant for you does not need to be hunted. What respects you does not require pursuit. What values you does not demand self-abandonment. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you stop begging life to choose you. You choose yourself. And this is not loud. It does not announce itself. There is no dramatic exit. It is a quiet decision made alone. You stop sending the message. You stop explaining your silence. You stop proving your worth. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to return home to yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's power lies in governing their own actions, not in controlling outcomes. Chasing is an attempt to control outcomes. Stopping is an act of self-governance. And when you reclaim that control, something subtle shifts. Your breath slows. Your thoughts sharpen. Your presence deepens. You realize you were never meant to be in pursuit. You were meant to be anchored. This chapter is not about walking away from people. It is about walking back into yourself. Because before silence becomes a superpower, it first becomes a test. And only those willing to sit with that discomfort discover what real strength feels like. Chapter 2: Why Chasing Destroys Respect. Respect does not disappear loudly. It fades, slowly, quietly, through patterns we repeat without noticing. Chasing is one of those patterns. At first, it looks harmless, almost noble. You care more. You try harder. You show up when others don't. But respect does not grow from effort alone. It grows from balance. The Stoics understood power not as dominance over others, but as mastery over oneself. And self-mastery begins with knowing when to step forward and when to stand still. When you chase, you signal urgency. Urgency suggests need. Need suggests imbalance. And imbalance changes how people perceive you. This is not cruelty. It is psychology. Humans instinctively value what stands firm in its own place, what is not lean, what does not beg to be held. The moment you begin chasing, you shift from choosing to seeking approval, and approval seeking quietly dissolves respect. Think of how often this happens without words. You reply instantly every time. You forgive repeatedly without change. You explain your intentions even when no explanation is owed. Over time, your presence becomes predictable, your availability unlimited, your boundaries invisible. And when boundaries disappear, respect follows. The Stoics warn against placing your worth in external things, especially in the opinions of others, because the more your value depends on being chosen, the less power you have in choosing yourself. Chasing reverses the natural order. Instead of two whole individuals meeting in mutual regard, it becomes one person advancing, while the other decides how much distance to maintain. And distance, when controlled by one side, becomes power. This is why chasing rarely brings closeness. It brings tolerance. And tolerance is not respect. Respect is born when someone senses that you are complete without them, that your life does not pause in their absence, that your dignity does not fluctuate with their attention. The Stoics did not teach indifference to others. They taught independence of spirit. To care deeply, without surrendering control of your inner world. Chasing gives away that control. You begin to measure your value by response times, tone shifts, and subtle signals. Your peace becomes conditional, your confidence negotiable. And people feel this, even if they cannot articulate it. They feel the weight of expectation, the quiet pressure of being needed. And pressure, no matter how gentle, repels respect. Here is the hard truth most people resist. The more you chase respect, the further it moves away. Because respect is not persuaded. It is observed. It comes from watching someone stand rooted in themselves, calm, composed, unmoved by uncertainty. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming contained. When you stop chasing, you allow space to return, and space reveals truth. Some will step closer, some will step away, but in both cases, clarity replaces illusion. The Stoics believed clarity was freedom, because once you see clearly, you stop investing where balance does not exist. And when you no longer chase respect, you begin to command it without asking. Chapter 3. Begging is the death of self-respect. Begging does not always look like kneeling. Most of the time, it is invisible. It sounds like, "Please understand me. I didn't mean it that way. Just give me one more chance." It feels like explaining your pain to someone who has already decided not to listen. And every time you do it, something inside you grows smaller. The Stoics were clear about this. Self-respect is the foundation of peace. Once it cracks, no amount of reassurance from others can restore it. Begging, especially for understanding, validation, or presence, moves you out of alignment with yourself. Because the moment you beg, you place another person above your own dignity. You ask them to decide your worth, and worth, once outsourced, is never returned intact. This is not about arrogance. It is about self-command. Epictetus taught that no one can harm you unless you hand them the authority to do so. Begging is handing over that authority. You say, without words, "My peace depends on your answer," and the mind remembers that position. Even if the other person gives in, the damage is done, because now you know you had to lower yourself to be heard. And something in you will never forget that. There's a deep exhaustion that comes from begging, not physical, spiritual. You feel it when you replay conversations in your head, when you rewrite messages before sending them, when you explain yourself again and again, hoping this time it will land. But the Stoics understood a painful truth. Those who are committed to misunderstanding you do not need clarity. They need control. And begging feeds that control. It teaches others that if they would draw long enough, you will chase, you will soften, you will surrender ground. Self-respect cannot survive in that environment. So the Stoics chose something radical. They chose to be misunderstood rather than diminished. Not because they lacked compassion, but because they valued inner order more than external approval. There is dignity in silence when explanation would cost you your spine. There is strength in walking away from conversations that require you to beg for basic respect. Begging does not make you more human. It makes you smaller. True humility is not pleading for acceptance. It is standing calmly in who you are and allowing others to decide what to do with that truth. The moment you stop begging, a strange thing happens. You feel exposed at first, like you removed armor, but soon, something steadier replaces it. Your chest lifts, your thoughts slow, your self-image repairs itself. You begin to realize you were never meant to be chosen at the cost of yourself. The Stoic path is not about winning people over. It is about not losing yourself. Chapter 4. Explaining yourself teaches others to doubt you. Every unnecessary explanation sends a message. Not to them, to you. It says, "What I am is not enough unless I justify it." The Stoics warned against this long before social media, long before constant access, long before people felt entitled to your inner world. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person who lives in alignment with reason does not need to defend their character. Their actions speak quietly, consistently, and without negotiation. When you explain yourself to someone who has already judged you, you are not clarifying truth. You are negotiating reality. And reality should never be negotiated. Most explanations are not asked for. They are extracted. They come after silence, after distance, after disapproval. You sense a shift, and instinctively you try to repair it with words. But here's the hidden danger. Every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, you train others to believe they are entitled to access your motives, that your boundaries are flexible, that your decisions are open for debate, that your inner life is public property. This is how authority leaks, not through confrontation, but through overclarification. The Stoics believe that clarity is powerful, but only when offered freely, not when demanded under pressure. There is a difference between explaining to build understanding and explaining to escape discomfort. The second one weakens you because it places your peace in the hands of someone else's approval. You say, if I can just make them see. But people don't see what threatens their position. They see what benefits them. And when explanation becomes a habit, it becomes a signal. This person can be pushed. Silence, on the other hand, does something extraordinary. It interrupts the power dynamic. It removes the reward of reaction. It forces others to sit with their assumptions without your help. Silence does not mean confusion. It means containment. It means, I understand myself well enough not to translate my soul for every audience. Epictetus taught that freedom begins the moment you stop trying to control how you are perceived. Explaining yourself is often an attempt to manage perception. Silence is acceptance of truth, and truth does not chase understanding. It stands. There is a quiet confidence in not correcting every misunderstanding, in not responding to every accusation, in not clarifying every choice. Because your life is not a courtroom, and you are not on trial. When you stop explaining, a few things happen. The wrong people leave. The right people lean in. Your energy returns. Your decisions feel lighter. Most importantly, you reclaim authorship over your own narrative. You no longer hand out footnotes for your existence. You let your consistency do the speaking. The Stoics did not fear being misunderstood. They feared living out of alignment. And alignment does not require applause. It requires integrity. Chapter 5. Silence unmasks power games. Silence is not empty. It is a mirror. And most people are uncomfortable standing in front of it. When you stop chasing, begging, or explaining, something fascinating happens. People reveal themselves, not through what they say, but through how they react to your quiet. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that power is rarely lost through force. It is surrendered through emotional entanglement. Manipulators depend on reaction. They provoke, so you explain. They withdraw, so you chase. They confuse, so you beg. Your response feeds the game. Your silence starves it. When you don't respond the way they expect, the dynamic collapses. And in that collapse, truth surfaces. You'll notice patterns. Some people grow respectful. Some grow anxious. Some grow hostile. Some disappear. Each reaction tells you something important. Those who respect you do not panic when you go quiet. They trust your character. They trust the relationship. They don't demand access. Those who lose control when you go silent were never attached to you. They were attached to the influence they had over you. This is why silence feels threatening to certain people. It removes leverage. It ends a negotiation. It says, I am not emotionally available for manipulation. Marcus Aurelius warned against letting others invade your ruling mind. Silence is how you close the gate, not aggressively, not defensively, calmly. Silence forces others to confront their intentions. If someone truly seeks understanding, they will approach you with patience and respect. If someone seeks dominance, they will escalate, pressure, guilt, passive aggression, urgency. These are not signs of care. They are signs of entitlement. And entitlement dissolves in the presence of silence, because silence does not argue. It does not justify. It does not negotiate. It observes. The Stoics believe that observation is power. When you stop reacting, you gain clarity. You see who reaches out to connect and who reaches out to control. You see who values presence and who values performance. You see who respects boundaries and who resents them. This is why silence is uncomfortable at first. It removes your distractions. It forces you to sit with truth. And truth is not always flattering, but it is always freeing. Silence is not withdrawal. It is discernment. It is choosing not to participate in games that cost you your peace. It is realizing that not every invitation deserves your presence. When you embrace silence, you stop needing validation from those who never intended to give it honestly. You stop explaining to people who were never listening. You stop chasing clarity from those who thrive on confusion. And slowly, something powerful happens. Your world becomes quieter, but stronger, because the people who remain are not there to test you. They are there to respect you. Chapter 6. Silence rewrites your identity. The moment you stop chasing, begging, and explaining, your identity begins to change. Quietly but permanently. Not because you announced it, not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior no longer signals need. In the social world, identity is not what you say you are. It is what your actions consistently communicate. And silence communicates something powerful. I am complete without your validation. Most people don't realize this, but they teach others how to treat them. Every explanation teaches people you doubt yourself. Every chase teaches people you fear loss. Every plea teaches people you place them above your dignity. Silence teaches none of these things. Silence teaches self-containment. The Stoics believe that character is formed not through speeches, but through restraint. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Silence often looks like weakness to the insecure, until time reveals it as strength. When you stop explaining, people stop expecting access to your inner world. Conversations become more respectful. Drama loses its grip. Your words carry more weight. Why? Because scarcity creates value. A person who speaks constantly must explain constantly. A person who speaks selectively is listened to carefully. Your silence sharpens your presence. You are no longer predictable, no longer reactive, no longer available on demand. And this unsettles people, not because you change your tone, but because you change your center of gravity. You are no longer leaning outward for approval. You are standing inward in certainty. This is when people begin to treat you differently. They choose their words more carefully. They hesitate before crossing your boundaries. They sense depth where there was once accessibility. Not everyone will like this version of you. Some will say, "You've changed. You're distant. You're cold." What they really mean is, you're no longer easy to control. The Stoic does not correct these perceptions. He does not defend them. He lets results speak. Silence allows your identity to stabilize. No more emotional over-explaining. No more rushed justifications. No more performing clarity for those committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, you become grounded, unshakable, not because you harden your heart, but because you discipline your responses. This is where true confidence forms. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet certainty that doesn't need witnesses. And once your identity shifts, your life follows. Relationships simplify. Decisions become clearer. Energy returns. Because you are no longer leaking yourself into places that do not honor you. Silence is not who you become. It is the space where who you truly are finally emerges. Chapter 7. Silence commands respect without asking. Respect is never negotiated. It is observed. The moment you stop explaining yourself, something subtle shifts in how people see you. They begin to feel your presence instead of analyzing your words. Most people try to earn respect by over-justifying their decisions, defending their boundaries, explaining their absence, arguing their worth. But respect does not come from persuasion. It comes from certainty. Silence is the behavior of someone who trusts their own judgment. When you no longer rush to clarify, correct, or convince, you send a powerful signal. I do not need agreement to be grounded. This is why leaders speak less. This is why calm authority feels heavy in a room. This is why the most dangerous minds are often the quietest. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Silence is action. Silence is posture. Silence is proof. People are constantly scanning for emotional cues. They listen less to your words and more to your reactions. If you react quickly, they sense insecurity. If you defend immediately, they sense doubt. If you remain composed and silent, they sense strength. Silence forces others to do the emotional work. They wonder, did I overstep? Did I misjudge them? Why aren't they reacting? And in that pause, power shifts. Not because you intimidated them, but because you refuse to surrender control of your emotional state. Silence also filters relationships. Those who respect you will lean and speak more thoughtfully, meet you at your level. Those who seek control will feel uneasy, push boundaries, expose themselves. Either way, silence clarifies. You no longer need to demand respect. You create conditions where disrespect feels uncomfortable. This is especially powerful in conflict. When insulted, silence denies the insult oxygen. When provoked, silence refuses the game. When misunderstood, silence reveals who is listening and who is projecting. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that your power lies in what you choose not to react to. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Silence is the discipline of suspended judgment. It says, "I am not ruled by impulse. I do not need to win every moment. I choose when to engage." And people feel this. They may not understand it. They may not articulate it, but they adjust to it because the silence creates presence, and presence commands respect. Not loudly, not aggressively, but undeniably. You become someone whose words matter because you no longer waste them. Someone whose attention is valuable because it is no longer freely given. Someone whose boundaries are felt because they are not explained away. Silence is not withdrawal. It is refinement. And once you learn to wield it, you stop chasing respect. Respect finds you. Chapter 8. Silence shields your energy. Silence is not just a tool for respect. It is a fortress for your mind, heart, and soul. Every word you speak, every reaction you give, costs energy. Most people spend their lives leaking energy by trying to explain, justify, or persuade. But when you stop, something extraordinary happens. Your inner world becomes untouchable. The world is loud. Opinions, judgments, and expectations constantly try to pull you into their chaos. By choosing silence, you create a protective boundary. Think of it this way. A calm lake does not explain itself to the wind. It does not argue with the birds. It simply reflects the sky and preserves its depth. Your energy is like that lake. Every unnecessary argument, every defensive explanation disturbs your calm. Every chase for validation is a wave pulling you away from your center. Silence allows you to filter the noise. You no longer absorb negativity that does not belong to you. Control your responses. You choose when and where to invest your emotional energy. Regain focus. Your mind is no longer scattered across opinions and expectations. Preserve power. Every word you do speak carries intention and wait. This is why the most influential people are often the quietest. They conserve their energy for what truly matters. The irony is simple. The less you react, the more powerful you appear. The less you chase, the more they come to you. The less you explain, the more they listen. Your silence becomes a magnet for clarity. People are naturally drawn to calm. They are instinctively pulled to those who are unshaken, unhurried, and undistracted. Even your emotions benefit. By refusing to justify yourself, you avoid unnecessary guilt, shame, or anger. You maintain your inner equilibrium, which cannot be disturbed by trivial matters. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most conflicts, misunderstandings, and frustrations exist only because we feed them with our voice. Silence starves them. It lets them fade away naturally. And in that silence, you discover profound truth. Your peace is more valuable than approval. Your time is more valuable than attention. Your energy is more valuable than agreement. Every moment spent defending, pleading, or explaining is a moment taken from your future self. Your future self thrives on focus, discipline, composure, inner strength. Silence nurtures all of these qualities. It becomes a daily practice of self-mastery. The most disciplined people do not waste energy on what cannot serve them. They observe, reflect, and act only when necessary. And this is how silence becomes your ultimate superpower. It shields you from toxicity. It clarifies your priorities. It elevates your presence. It preserves your life force. Once you master this, you no longer fear criticism, rejection, or misunderstanding. You are emotionally untouchable. You walk through the world with grace and authority, without ever needing to explain why. Chapter 9. Silence transforms relationships. Silence is not just a shield for your energy. It is also a magnet for respect, understanding, and meaningful connections. When you stop chasing, begging, and explaining, people start to see you differently. They notice your calm, your composure, your unshakable presence. They are drawn not by your words, but by the weight of your silence. Think about it. Most interactions are filled with noise, arguments, justifications, defensiveness. This noise clouds judgment and dilutes respect. But silence introduces something rare. Space. Space for observation. Space for reflection. Space for true connection. How silence transforms relationships. People respect boundaries. When you stop over-explaining, people understand that your energy is not for them to drain. They learn that your time, your attention, and your emotions are valuable. Boundaries are felt, not argued. True value is revealed. In a world of constant noise, silence becomes noticeable. Your presence carries weight because it is not diluted by constant words. People learn to appreciate the quality of your attention, not the quantity. Authenticity emerges. When you stop chasing approval, you no longer play roles. You are no longer performing to be liked or understood. Silence allows your authentic self to shine. Conflict resolution becomes effortless. By refraining from reacting impulsively, you diffuse tension. Arguments die down when you choose observation over retaliation. The silent person becomes a calm center in the storm, naturally respected by all. Connections deepen naturally. People who are truly aligned with your values will gravitate toward you. Those who are superficial or toxic will fall away naturally. Your relationships become cleaner, stronger, and more meaningful. Wise silence commands influence. Silence is powerful because it forces people to reflect on their own actions and words. When you refuse to justify yourself, the burden of explanation falls on them. They begin to understand your worth without you having to tell them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." Silence is your tool to enforce this principle in relationships. You are not controlling others. You are controlling your energy and presence. The quiet authority of silence. The person who does not chase, beg, or explain carries a quiet authority. Friends listen more carefully because your words have weight. Colleagues respect your decisions because you do not argue for them. Family members notice your calm, and it sets a tone for harmony. People naturally align with composure and self-mastery. Silence is not absence. It is intentional presence. Your relationships are no longer a constant struggle for validation. Instead, they become a reflection of mutual respect, understanding, and depth. Daily practice. To cultivate this in your relationships, respond, don't react. Take time before speaking. Observe without judgment. Listen more than you talk. Let silence carry your message. Not every thought needs expression. Protect your energy. Distance yourself from negativity without explanation. Over time, people learn your rhythm, your value, and your strength. They respect your presence because it is rare, deliberate, and untouchable. Silence does not make you weak. It makes you unforgettable. Your future self will thank you for every word you did not waste, every chase you did not indulge, and every unnecessary explanation you avoided. Chapter 10. The Ultimate Freedom. Your Silence as Superpower. This is the final chapter where all the lessons converge. The practice of never chasing, never begging, never explaining culminates in profound realization. Your silence is not a limitation. It is liberation. When you stop giving your energy away unnecessarily, you unlock a new dimension of life. Freedom from external validation. Chasing approval is exhausting. Begging for attention is humiliating. Constantly explaining yourself is draining. Silence frees you from all of this. You no longer live under others' expectations. You no longer seek permission to be yourself. You no longer justify your choices to anyone. Your self-worth becomes internal, unshakable, and sovereign. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Silence ensures that your reactions are measured, deliberate, and free from external manipulation. Inner strength becomes unbreakable. When you practice silence consistently, your mind grows calm, clear, and focused. Your emotions no longer dictate your actions. Your presence becomes magnetic and respected. People may try to provoke, confuse, or question you, but your silence is a shield, a demonstration of mastery over self, not over others. True power is not in controlling the world. It is in mastering yourself. The quiet command of respect. Your silence communicates confidence and integrity. It commands attention without speaking. Leaders notice your calm authority. Friends trust your measured presence. Enemies hesitate because they sense your unshakable core. Your words, when spoken, carry weight and purpose because they are not wasted. Your silence has already made the statement. I am whole. I am enough. I need nothing from you. Transforming life and destiny. By turning silence into a superpower, you reclaim your energy. No more giving away to drama or validation. You attract what aligns with you. People, opportunities, and circumstances that respect your space. You see life with clarity. Less noise, more insight. You shape your own path, free from societal pressure or dependency. Silence is the ultimate tool of Stoic mastery. The legacy of your silence. Imagine yourself years from now. You have built a life based on intention, purpose, and self-respect. You are remembered not for endless words or apologies, but for presence, action, and wisdom. Your relationships are deep, meaningful, and authentic because you chose quality over quantity, depth over noise. Your silence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Daily practice to harness your superpower. Pause before reacting. Cultivate reflection over impulsivity. Limit unnecessary words. Speak only when your words add value. Honor your boundaries. Never compromise your peace for temporary approval. Observe more, judge less. Let life teach you instead of you teaching life. Embrace solitude. Silence becomes a source of strength, not loneliness. Closing motivation. Your silence is your ultimate weapon, shield, and treasure. When you master it, the world cannot drain you, manipulate you, or diminish you. You will walk with calm authority, unshakable peace, and magnetic presence. The person who understands the power of silence is a person free from the chaos of the world. Your future self is waiting, stronger, wiser, and unrecognizable. And all it took was choosing silence over noise, dignity over desperation, and self-mastery over approval. Your journey starts now. Your silence is your superpower. Use it wisely and watch your life transform.